Hi, friends. It's day 80, day 80 of A Path of Purpose. And let's talk about the question, do you pretend? Kind of an odd topic, right? Well, I have found myself throughout my life at times pretending. And then I thought, well, why would I pretend? And what do I mean by pretend? So, what I don't think pretending is pretending is not dreaming and who you want to be and what you want to do. That isn't pretending, right? Because you're hopeful, you're working towards a goal. But pretending for me has been more like being somebody I wasn't, or pretending I knew the answer when I didn't. And I started thinking about why did that start? And what I realized is that it started because, in some ways, um, I was comparing myself. I wanted to be like somebody else, so I would pretend that I could do what they did, or I pretend that I knew what they knew. And some of it goes back to school because you guys know that I struggled, but part of it was embarrassment, right? If you pretend that you understand, then you don't look foolish because you don't admit I don't know the answer. Um, if at the end of class when the teacher would say, "Does anybody have any questions?" Of course, I'm not going to raise my hand because I would look foolish because I I I would, by not saying anything, it looked like I knew what they were talking about, so I pretended that I knew. Um, and yeah, one thing I was thinking about is a problem I really had was I wouldn't remember somebody's name. And so I pretend that I would remember their name and instead of asking. And so I had a boss that he was so good. He met so many people in over a year um, that he would just say, "I know we've met before and I recognize you, but I don't remember your name." And it was so great because he was actually admitting that he didn't remember their name. But oftentimes I would pretend that I remembered or pretended that why I knew them. And instead, what I what I learned from my boss is it was better not to pretend and acknowledge, yeah, I don't remember where we met. I recognize your face, but I don't remember your name. And so what I've learned is that pretending doesn't do anything. It only kind of digs a hole of lying, right? It makes it look like, well, if I pretend, I won't look stupid. If I pretend, then maybe someone will like me better if I pretend. As a result of acknowledging that in my life and recognizing that I was pretending, then I learned to be honest. I learned to be bold in my conversations. I have learned how to speak up and say things and ask questions. For instance, this sounds silly, but I do not have um, a huge vocabulary. I have a pretty good vocabulary, especially after going back to school over the years. But when someone says a word that I don't connect with the meaning, I have just learned to say, what does that word mean? I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. And before, when I was pretending to know, I would have just ignored it, and I would have not understood the whole conversation because I pretended that I understood what they were talking about. And when I started in working in the developmental disability community, they the conversations are filled with abbreviations and terms that I had no idea what they were talking about or understood. And I found myself asking time and time again, now what does DSP mean? What does ISP mean? What does, the list goes on, because there were so many abbreviations. And so I've learned to not let that embarrass me, but to be a learner and to ask questions. How else have I pretended? Oh, pride says you pretend that you know how to do something. And pride says, oh, I can do this. And in fact, probably 3-4 years ago, I took my older grandson, kayaking. And he'd never been kayaking, and so I put him in the kayak with me, right? He was probably, I don't know, maybe 9 years old at the time. And it was like, Grandma, I can do this. And I said, but you've never done this before. I mean, it would be good to have some instruction on what to do. No, I can do it. I already know how to do it. And I just thought, yeah, isn't that, what I've done is I can do it. And then the truth is, I might have had an idea of how to do it, but I didn't have the full instructions on how to do it. And so it's always good to stop and ask instructions. And I'm not saying it's bad to dive in and try something new, but the problem with the conversation between my grandson and I was that he was saying he already knew how to do it. And so actually he ended up doing a great job, and I was pretty proud of him, but just reminding him that we don't pretend that we know how to do something when we've never done it before. So, do you have areas in your life that you're pretending? Are you pretending to be somebody you're not? Are you one person in a group and a different person one-on-one? Because really the truth is we should be who we are, right? We don't have to pretend because we don't think somebody is going to like us. Pretending isn't going to make them like us any more or any less if they're truly a friend. So we don't have to pretend. And that's another thing. If we think that we want to be accepted by someone or a group of people we think we want to be included with, pretending does not create a safe environment for yourself in relationships. So then you're always having to, do better. Anyway, just a thought is, are there areas in your life that you pretend? And I know I find myself still, hesitating to be maybe totally honest, or maybe let them see who I really am, or maybe I don't know. The list goes on, right? But I know, as I've learned over the years, the more honest I am, the more I am just me, and not worrying about whether I'm loved or not loved by somebody, or whether somebody wants to be my friend or not. It's really not the priority as much as it is hearts coming together because we have a common heart and common goals. So, anyway, just thinking about the areas that I've pretended over the years and the freedom I have now. So, I guess that's it. Day 80. And you guys have a great rest of the night. I was going to see if anybody was on. Yeah, a couple people are viewing. But again, I have the worst time with seeing comments if anybody's writing anything. But I don't see any comments. So, all right, have a great rest of the night, and we will talk tomorrow.